This isn't a podcast, it's a sports cast.
Welcome back to the #1 sports cast in the world, where we give full card predictions and a betting breakdown. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn on those post notifications and share this video as well. UFC 308, Topuria versus Holloway. I'm looking forward to breaking down this card. But before we do that, let's go ahead and recap UFC Vegas 99 along with our bets.
Yeah, Martin, and it's going to be a quick recap because we only had one bet last week, and it was on Kyler Phillips versus Rob Font not to go the distance at plus 150 for a half unit bet, and we lost that bet. We were down half a unit on the last card, small little shot there, and I felt like we had our chances, man. Rob Font had him hurt real bad at times, and it went kind of the way I thought it was going to go. Kyler Phillips got those takedowns early, got him easy, but from there wasn't able to finish the fight, obviously, and shout out to Rob Font. Cash was a huge underdog. That line was way off, but yeah, just a small half unit bet last week for a loss. But man, I'm excited for UFC 308, Martin. A ton of live underdogs, in my opinion. One of the best cards of the year, dude. I can't wait. Let's go.
Any action, sportscast. Any action.
Opening up the card, we have Bruno Blindado Silva. He's 23-11. Books opening up at a plus 105. 35 years old, 6 foot with a 74-inch reach. And he's taking on Ismail Naurdiev. He's 23-7. Books at a minus 125. 28 years old, 6 foot with a 74-inch reach. FE.
Yeah, Martin, right away going with the underdog pick in this fight. Listen, I know Bruno Silva's falling on hard times. He's getting up there in age, 39 years old, and on a 3-fight losing streak. Man, he got screwed in his last fight against Chris Weidman, dude. Just eye poke after eye poke after eye poke. That was really tough to see. He's had some pretty tough matchmaking as of late. But Ismail, on the other side, he's 1-2 in his last 3 fights, and in one of them, man, he was beating the guy down. This guy is a good striker, heavy striker, decent grappling on his own, in his own right. But man, the other guy came back and knocked him out, man. So I've seen this guy winning fights and then lose, get knocked out and slept. And I don't think he's going to wrestle Bruno Silva in this fight, man. I think this is going to be a 15-minute striking fight where I'm going with the more proven guy in Bruno Silva. Like I said, I know he's 39 years old. I know he's on a 3-fight losing streak and he's getting up there in age. But this guy, Ismail used to be in the UFC as well. Already got cut, putting in his work, on the regional scene. And now he's back. So I'm going with Bruno Silva here. Slight underdog pick to start the card. I just think he's going to be safe on the feet where the fight will take place. Give me Bruno Silva via decision as an underdog.
Any action, sportscast. Any action.
Next up on the card, we have Ebo, the last Ottoman Aslan. He's 13-1. Books opening up at a minus 125. 28 years old, 6'3", with a 77.5 reach. And he's taking on Raffael, the Lion Cerqueira. He's 11-0, opening up at a plus 105. 34 years old, 6'4". Oh, reach again! FE!
Yeah, I'm going with Ebo in this fight, slight favorite in this fight. But this is low-key a banger, Martin, man. 24 professional wins between both these guys, only 1 decision, man. These guys can crack. These guys are finishers, and I expect that to happen in this fight, man. Ebo, man, he's a heavy striker. I didn't like how he looked at times against Chikali, in his UFC debut. But the other guy, Raffael, man, it seems like the UFC has wanted this guy on Dana White Contender Series, and then finally they weren't able to book those fights. So, screw it, just hop in the UFC right away. And they're giving him, this pay-per-view preliminary fight. I think he's a good fighter. I do think that he probably does have a little bit more better jiu-jitsu than Ebo. Ebo more so is on the feet most of the time in his fights. But man, someone's gonna get cracked in this fight. The new gloves, Martin, do pose the question of can someone actually get knocked out in this fight, man. Ever since they instituted the new gloves, it's been nothing but decisions, man. It's been kind of tough to see, but man, I think Ebo lands a good shot in this fight. Someone's gonna get slept. I'm going with the slight favorite, Ebo here. Give me Ebo via knockout round 1.
Any action, sportscast. Any action.
Next up on the card, we have Rinat Gladiator Fakhretdinov. He's 23-1. 33 years old, 6 foot with a 74-inch reach. And he's taking on Carlos the Lion Leal. He's 21-5. 30 years old, 5'11" with a 72-inch reach. FE.
Yeah, so Rinat Fakhretdinov coming in at minus 170 to this fight. Leal on the other side plus 140. And you would think it's a little bit wider, right? Just the way Rinat fights, man. This guy looks like an I Am Legend zombie. You slap a beard on him. But he fights about the way you would expect, man. Just a relentless grappler, right? And he's going to be pushing the wrestling the whole fight. But that's the thing with Rinat, man. I really don't rate his striking that well, man. I think he's quite hittable. I do think he's super pale, so he gets marked up super easy. But, man, he is a relentless grappler. I'll give him that, man. He will shoot, you know, however many takedowns it takes in this fight. But I feel like Leal can push him in this fight, man. I think there's a reason why you don't see Rinat as a huge favorite. This guy taking this fight on short notice. Usually in that type of scenario, you know, they come in as minus 250 or higher. And I think it's because Leal's going to be there, man. This guy is a decent striker in his own right. I think he has the scrambles to at least give Rinat a little bit of a push here on the mat. And it's not like he's on technically short notice. He was preparing for a fight in UAE Warriors in October, so it's not like he's off the couch, you know, taking a shot here to jump in the UFC, technically on short notice, you know, in a way, taking this fight. Rinat was supposed to fight someone else. But I think it's going to be a close fight, man. I think it's going to be good. If Rinat, you know, wins those first 2 rounds, he has to survive in that third. If Rinat comes out and, you know, shows us improved cardio, then he's going to be a real problem in the division, man. So, like I said, I don't really like Rinat striking enough to play him at minus 170 here. So, I'm going to pick him as a favorite to win this fight, but I wouldn't be shocked if the underdog pulls the upset in this fight.
Any action, sportscast. Any action.
Next up on the card, we have Farid Ferocious Basharat. He's 12-0, a heavy favorite at a minus 500. 27 years old, 5'8", with a 71-inch reach. And he's taking on Victor Striker Hugo. He's 25-4, a moderate underdog at a plus 380. 31 years old, 5'7", with a 71-inch reach. FE.
Man, you know what's funny about this fight, Martin? I looked at this fight and I was like, all right, cool. Maybe we can get, you know, Farid Basharat at a good line. I do expect him to win this fight. But, bro, dang, minus 500, the books are all over in this fight. You know, let's start with Victor Hugo, man. A big step up in competition for him. I know he only has, what, 1 UFC fight. He was off Dana White Contender Series, but he's actually pretty experienced in his career, man. This guy's had a lot of fights, and he's pretty decent everywhere. But the thing with this fight is I think that Basharat should be able to, at least for one, match him on the striking. Victor Hugo is dangerous. He does have good speed. He's pretty safe off the back foot, has some dangerous knees up the middle. But I think that Farid's going to be able to level change in this fight, man. I think that Farid's going to be able to get in on the hips, get these takedowns, you know, throughout the fight. He's coming off beating Taylor Lapilus, who I rate, you know, much higher than, you know, Lugo in this fight. So, you know, a weird, you know, sort of matchmaking fight here. I think they're showcasing Farid Basharat in this fight in that area of the world. But I think Farid, you know, gets it done. Minus 500 is steep in my opinion. I do think it likely goes to decision, but if he does get it finished, I think it's going to come on the mat, you know, most likely via submission. But Victor Hugo has good scrambles, good jiu-jitsu. So I do expect this to go 15 minutes, man. But I do think Basharat is the rightful favorite. I think he wins a decision here in this fight. Give me Farid Basharat via decision.
Any action, sportscast. Any action.
Next up on the card, we have Kennedy, the African Savage, Nzechukwu. He's 12-5, a heavy favorite at a minus 550. 32 years old, 6'5", with an 83-inch reach. And he's taking on Chris Beast Boy Barnett. He's 23-8, a heavy underdog at a plus 400. 38 years old, 5'9", with a 75-inch reach. FE.
Bro, what is this fight? Who made this fight, dude? What is the UFC doing in this fight here? Yeah, clearly going with the heavy favorite here, Kennedy, in this fight. Bro, 5'9" for Chris Barnett at heavyweight is crazy. Kennedy actually is going up from light heavyweight to heavyweight. He's always been a big, you know, light heavyweight in his own right. He had a really bad performance in his last fight, so it's super funny to see him come in, lose to OSP, you know, last fight as a huge favorite, and then come back again as a huge favorite. But, bro, it's because on the other side, he's fighting Chris Barnett. Chris Barnett, in my opinion, has no chance to win this fight other than grappling, man. I don't see him striking or really even hitting Kennedy in this fight. I don't understand how he's going to reach him, man. This guy, the height and reach difference in this fight is going to be hilarious. I actually can't wait for this fight just because the visual optics of it and how funny it's going to look. But seriously speaking, I'm going with Kennedy to win this fight via knockout. Sucks that the fan favorite Chris Barnett, you know, is going to lose this fight, but he was training for a fight. I think we mentioned him a couple weeks ago, Martin, but then that hurricane happened in Tampa, took him off the card. So he is ready to fight. It's not like he's off the couch short notice or anything, but, you know, tough opponent here for the small Chris Barnett here. And interested to see who you have in this fight, Martin. Who you got?
Well, I got the heavy favorite. You know who that is?
Kennedy.
No, the real heavy favorite, Chris Beast Boy Barnett. He's heavy, man. You want to talk about heavy favorite? We're talking about Chris Beast Boy Barnett. I'm going Beast Boy, man. I'm impressed with this guy. He's fast. You know, he's flexible. He gives us a show, and this guy is just not picking fights. You know, I'm pretty sure he had the choice to say yes or no. You know, especially being after rescheduled. But I'm going Chris Beast Boy Barnett. I'm going TKO or decision. I mean.
Ooh.
Is that fair to say, or is that like picking like?
No, yeah, that's the method you think he's gonna win. Either
Well, I
knockout
mean,
or decision.
yeah.
We'll see, man. I think he's gonna get smoked, but we're on opposite sides here, bro.
Any action, sportscast. Any action.
Next up on the card, we have Abbas Magomedov. He's 26-1, a slight favorite at a -150. 34 years old, 6'2", with a 78-inch reach. And he's taking on Bruno the Hulk Ferreira. He's 12-1, a slight underdog at a +125. 31 years old, 5'10", with a 72-inch reach. FE.
Banger of a fight here, and here where the part of the card, Martin, where the rest of the dogs are live, man. From here on out, you can make a case for almost every single fighter to win their fight. But I'm going with Abbas in this fight. Bruno Ferreira, Martin, just hits so hard. This guy is a power puncher. Looks for that, overhand right, those left hooks, man. This guy can crack in the pocket. He is dangerous. He is a bit small for the division. I'll give him that. But Abbas, in my opinion, what I like about him is his kicks, man. He's throwing teep kicks all the time, liver shots to the body. This guy is quick with his kicks. The worry here in this fight for Abbas is his cardio, man. We've seen him, gas out, especially against Strickland. That was a big one. But that was a huge step up in competition for Abbas. And in this fight, I wouldn't be surprised to see Abbas have the grappling advantage in this fight. I wouldn't be shocked to see him mixing some clinches here and then try to get the fight down from there. But Bruno's a big, strong guy, man, or a smaller, strong guy. He's short and stocky, a heavy puncher, like I said. So, man, Abbas has to be safe in this fight. But I do think that he will win this fight, coming through as a favorite here in, Abu Dhabi. I think Abbas wins this fight via decision in this fight, which is kind of like a bit of a risk because they both hit so hard, especially Bruno. But I'm going with Abbas to win this fight. I'm going Abbas via decision.
Any action, sportscast. Any action.
Next up on the card, we have apparently someone's strong Wi-Fi password, Myktybek Orolbai. He's 13-1-1. He's a moderate favorite at a -275. 26 years old, 5'10", what a 74-inch reach. And he's taking on Mateusz Rebecki. He's 19-2, a moderate underdog at a +210. 32 years old, 5'7", with a 66-inch reach. FE.
Man, sick fight here, especially if you like grappling, man. If you're a fan of wrestling, if you're a fan of jiu-jitsu, this fight will be sick. Because Mateusz Rebecki, man, he's able to impose his takedowns on pretty much all of his opponents, man. But this will be tough against Oralbai, man. Oralbai is a stiff, rigid opponent with good takedown defense. And I do foresee him being able to stuff the takedowns here and keeping this at range where I do give him the advantage. He is a little bit, sloppy, in my opinion. He's a little bit unorthodox on the feet. His hands are a little bit low. Throws kind of wide, in my opinion, on some shots. And I think Rebecki is going to have to utilize those leg kicks here early, man. I don't think he's going to be able to shoot at will like he normally does in his fights. It'll be smart for him to, reserve that cardio, because if he gasses out, man, Oralbai is going to be coming on strong in those second and third rounds, man. Oralbai looks like a straight up caveman that you unthawed from the Ice Age, and he's coming in, taking over, looking good in the UFC so far. I think he's going to continue his ascension here. -250 does seem a little bit wide, but I do think he's a rightful favorite, just because I think that Mateusz has shown, questionable cardio throughout his career, and his game plan just revolves so much about wrestling. Like if he doesn't get the takedowns here, I don't think it's gonna be looking so good on the feet for him. So for that reason, I'm going with Oralbai to win this fight via decision, but I wouldn't be shocked if he sneaks in a round 3 finish.
Any action, sportscast. Any action.
Next up on the card, we have Geoff Hand of Steel Neal. He's 15-6, a moderate favorite at a -310. 34 years old, 5'11", with a 75-inch reach. And he's taking on Raffael dos Anjos. He's 32-16, a moderate underdog at a +250. 5'8", with a 70-inch reach. F to the E.
Yeah, man, I think that line says it all. I just don't see how Raffael dos Anjos is going to win this fight, other than, taking down and out grappling Geoff Neal, and I don't think that's going to happen, man. Shavkat Rakhmonov, was having trouble getting Geoff Neal down, and even in that fight, dude, Geoff Neal was piecing him up pretty good. I think that's a good comparison to what Raffael is going to need to do in this fight. If Raffael decides to strike for 15 minutes here with Geoff Neal, I think he's going to get cut. I think he's going to get hurt bad on the feet, and I think that Geoff Neal is going to look like a rifle favorite. I think that RDA at this point in his career, man, obviously a legend, been in the game forever, but man, he's fallen on some tough times, and he's getting up there in age, Mario, man. This guy has a ton of scar tissue on his face. He's getting up there in age, 39 years old, almost 40. I think this is the end of the line here for RDA. Don't know if it's his last fight, obviously, but I'm just saying he's more toward the end of his career, than obviously his prime. I think that Geoff Neal, should be the rifle favorite here, younger guy. I know he's on a 2-fight losing streak, but they're the two, high-level guys, Ian Gary and Shavkat Rakhmonov. And like I said, man, I just see him stuffing these takedowns, keeping it at range. And if anything, Raffael is going to need a cage push, man. He might get denied on the takedowns, so he's going to have to stay on him in the clinch. And I think that Geoff Neal can reverse, get separation, and really land damage on RDA here. So, minus 300 is a little bit wide. I don't foresee myself playing it, but I do think that Geoff Neal either gets a finish in this fight at some point, knocks him out, or wins a decision here in this fight.
Any action, sportscast, any action.
Opening up the main card, we have Shara Bullet Magomedov. He's 14-0, a slight favorite at a minus 185. 30 years old, 6'2", with a 73-inch reach. And he's taking on Armen Superman Petrosyan. He's 8-3, a slight underdog at a plus 155. 33 years old, 6'3", with a 71-inch reach. FE.
Yeah, man, banger of a fight to start the pay-per-view here for UFC 308. A super close fight, and I'm actually going with the underdog here, bro. I'm going with Armen to win this fight via decision, and it's nothing against Shara, man. I respect the guy's ability to strike, man. This guy is a lethal striker. I know he's from Russia, but the thing is, if you watch the UFC, you know this, but if you don't, if you're just a casual fan trying to bet this fight, man, this guy can't grapple, man. This guy has a huge grappling, disadvantage in this fight, or really most of his fights. It's a deficiency in this game, and it's not like Armen, some sort of, crazy grappler wrestler trying to push the pace and grapple all of his fights, but to me, it's the fact that it's there, man. I feel like he can go to it at some points in this fight, and if it stays at range, man, Shara Bullet is lethal with those kicks, man. This guy, what I really like about him is his variety of kicks, man. He can go low, he can go to the high, he gets his foot up by your head super quick, man. You gotta be ready when you're fighting this guy. This guy is dangerous for sure on the feet, but the thing with him, man, he doesn't throw enough punching combinations, man. He doesn't let his hands go enough for my liking. Hopefully that's something he can improve throughout his career. And even Dana White, told the guy after his first fight, like, hey, man, you gotta work on that grappling defense, you gotta work on your takedown defense, because someone with the brain is gonna go out there and try to take you down. So I think Armen has a skill set to keep this fight close, keep it at range, and if anything, mix in a couple takedowns here and secure that win. So for me, my pick is the underdog here. I'm going with Armen Petrosyan to win this fight via decision. What about you, bro?
Well, you know what doesn't kill Superman? A bullet. But you know what does kill Superman? Shara Magomedov.
Any action, sportscast, any action.
Next up on the card, we have Magomed Ankalaev. He's 19-1-1, a heavy favorite at a minus 410. 32 years old, 6'3", with a 75-inch reach. And he's taking on Alexander Rocket. Effie?
Rockets?
Thank you. He's 14-4, a moderate underdog at a plus 320. 32 years old, 6'4", with a 78-inch reach. Effie.
Yeah, man, I am not parlaying or betting on Magomed Ankalaev to win this fight. I think Rokic has a chance to pull the upset here, man. Magomed, obviously a really good fighter, high-level guy, probably one of the best 3 guys in the entire world here in his weight class. But the thing with him is when he fights a power striker, someone like Rokic, man, he plays like a mirroring game. He doesn't really, utilize that forward pressure. He kind of goes tit for tat, trying to counterpunch a lot. And what really annoys me sometimes is he waits forever to shoot takedowns, man. This guy is comfortable on the feet, and don't get me wrong, he's a good striker, southpaw striker with good speed, good variety of kicks, obviously good boxing combinations as well with power. But Rokic, man, he can crack, man. He was looking good in that Jiri fight before he gassed out bad. I believe he was a little bit sick in that fight, and I believe I had money on him as well. He ended up getting finished by Jiri. But man, this is gonna be tough, man. Magomed, he can utilize the grappling carry if he does get rockets down. I do expect him to have a big advantage on the mat. You know, he's a really good grappler in his own right, but he's super well-rounded and a high-level fighter. But like I said, man, for some reason against, you know, tougher opponents, especially hard-hitting strikers, he tends to keep the fight a little closer than you would like, man. Minus 400 to me isn't worth a parlay piece here, because I do think that Rakic has a chance to win this fight. I'm going with, though, Magomed to win this fight via decision. I wouldn't be shocked if he at some point gets a ground and pound finish on the mat, but I don't know, man. It's gonna be a close fight, and I think that the line is a little bit wide, so I'm going with Magomed and Ankalaev. I'm going with Magomed and Ankalaev via decision.
Any action, sportscast. Any action,
Next up on the card, we have Lerone, the Miracle Murphy. He's 14-0-1, a moderate favorite at some books at a minus 200. 33 years old, 5'9", with a 73.5-inch reach. And he's taking on Dan 50K Ige. He's 18-8, a slight underdog at a plus 165. 33 years old, 5'7", with a 71-inch reach. FE.
Yeah, Martin, for this fight, for me, betting-wise, it's a dog or a pass, man. I don't want to be laying juice here on Lerone Murphy to beat Dan Ige, because I think it's going to be a close fight, man. I think there's a little bit of value on Dan Ige as an underdog here. Man, Lerone Murphy, you know, dynamic striker, very fast, good speed, and he's looked good in the UFC, man. With Dan Ige, the last time we saw him was, you know, on like 5 hours short notice against Diego Lopez, where, man, that was insane. The guy takes the fight during the actual card, you know, goes in there and gives Diego Lopez a tough fight. Diego Lopez went through a lot that week as well with Brian Ortega, and then Dan Ige actually goes out there and wins round 3, man. That was a 29-28 fight against Diego Lopez, who now is looking like a real, you know, title challenger in that division. As far as this fight, though, you know, Dan Ige has shown, you know, grappling deficiencies, in my opinion, against certain fighters, but I don't think Lerone Murphy should just come out here, you know, and take him down and hold him down. I think Dan Ige, if he does get taken down, has the scrambles to get up, and I think he can keep it at range, man. The thing with me that worries me about Dan Ige is he's getting up there in age, and he really relies on his speed, man. And, you know, the older he gets, the more, you know, worn out he gets, that speed's going to start to fade a little bit. And I feel like Lerone Murphy might be able to get there quicker, you know, add up some volume here and win a decision. So I think it's going to be a close fight. So for that reason, I'd rather be laying money on the underdog. My pick is going to be Dan Ige here via decision in what should be a banger of a fight, bro. What about you?
Well, I think Dan Ige is going to want the miracle in this one. And Lerone Murphy is going to want the 50K. It's Murphy or nothing for man.
Oh, no.
What?
What happened? Why'd you stop talking?
In the co-main event of the evening, we have Robert the Reaper Whittaker. He's 26-7, a slight underdog at a plus 185. 33 years old, 6 foot, with a 73.5-inch reach. And he's taking on Kazmat Boris Chimaev. He's 13-0, a undefeated fighter, a moderate favorite at a minus 225, and it continues to climb. 30 years old, 6'2", with a 75-inch reach. FE.
Oh my goodness, Martin. One of the best fights the UFC can book right now, and it's this one, man. I cannot wait for this fight. And it's pretty obviously, you know, how you're supposed to look at this fight. Can Khamzat Chimaev implement his grappling and maul Robert Whittaker? Can he get him down and just work him from there? And on the other hand, can Whittaker survive and gas out Chimaev? This is a 5-round fight, Martin, not a 3-round fight, and I think that does favor Whittaker in this fight. In my opinion, man, to this day, like Deontay Wilder, I think that Khamzat has a big-time pacing problem, man. This guy goes from 0 to 100 right when the bell rings. He's going to be causing chaos. He's going to be going forward, pushing the pace on Whittaker early in this fight. But if Whittaker can survive that first round and extend this fight, man, I think he can really get the better of Chimaev in this fight. Chimaev coming in at minus 250, probably the lowest odds you've seen in the UFC for sure. And I think it's for a reason, man. I think Whittaker can survive that first round. Do I think that Khamzat Chimaev is going to take down Whittaker early in this fight? Yes, I do, man. I think he's going to be able to get him down relatively easy early in this fight. But as the fight goes, I think those takedowns are going to be coming harder and harder and harder to get. One thing I didn't like from Whittaker was how easily, you know, Dricus du Plessis was able to get him down, and from there, down vicious ground and pound. Man, Whittaker's going to be having to stay safe on the mat here with someone as dangerous as Chimaev. But bro, 5 rounds, I really do think it favors Whittaker in this fight. I know we're in Abu Dhabi, you know, Chimaev obviously going to be the hometown guy. The crowd's going to be going crazy for every little thing he does. But even in his last fight against Kamaru Usman, bro, he comes out and dominates Usman in that first round, gets him down with ease. Kamaru Usman is one of the best wrestlers in the division, but bro, he has no knees and he's old, and he was on like a week's notice, and Usman came out in 1 round 2 and had a close round 3. You could argue that was a draw if you record round 1 as a 10-8. And I think that Whitaker is way more of an athletic opponent here, you know, more so in his prime than someone like Usman on short notice, having to fly across the world, cut weight, then fight Chimaev. Man, this is his second camp for Whitaker, preparing for Chimaev. You know, he went to Abu Dhabi, got that knockout against Ikram. And I just think he's going to be ready, man. I think Chimaev's in for a tough test. I think that line is minus 250 and not minus 300 for a reason. I'm going with Whitaker, bro. I'm going with Whitaker to win this fight via decision, or if not, finish Chimaev late. Give me Robert Whitaker, bro. I'm going with the Reaper in this one. What about you?
Oh my gosh, I love when we're on the other side, and I feel confident on this one. I'm going with Kazma, the Wolf, on this one. Effie, Robert Whitaker, to me, is the only guy who can make fighting look like a casual Sunday cardio.
Oh my God.
Okay? Effie, Whitaker's got a chin like granite, but his ground game might need a GPS. You know what I mean? Effie.
What?
Robert Whitaker is proof that you could be a savage in the cage and still look like the nicest guy at a barbecue. Okay? Hey, Effie.
What?
Whitaker hits like a truck, but he sometimes forgets to put gas in it by round 5.
Oh.
Any action, sportscast. Any action,
And the main event of the evening, we have Ilia El Matador Topuria. He's 15-0, undefeated, a moderate favorite at a minus 250. 27 years old, 5'7", with a 69-inch reach. And he's taking on Max Holloway. He's 26-7, a moderate underdog at a plus 195. 32 years old, 5'11", with a 69-inch reach. And I'm taking El Matador on this one. Effie.
Yeah, Martin, I thought I was going to be super bullish and super heavy here on Ilia Topuria, but the more I look at it, I want to look at his power a little more closely, man. He knocked out Damon Jackson, sick body shot, you know, great knockout, but Damon Jackson's not the best fighter, and then he knocked out Ryan Hall, you know, pure jiu-jitsu guy, I mean, nice knockout and everything. Jaya Herbert was at 155, and Ilia actually got dropped himself in that fight. And then Volkanovski, obviously one of the best 145ers of all time, but he's coming off a knockout against, you know, Makhachev as well. Ilia Topuria is a clean boxer in the pocket, man. This guy rips the body, really good power over the top, and when he connects, man, he knocks you out brutally. He absolutely, you know, demolishes a lot of his opponents with that overhand right, and like I said, he rips the body and leaves you exposed there as well. But I really wonder how his style is going to play out against Max, man. Max can pick apart from range here. Obviously, super savvy veteran. Max is one of the best strikers in the entire UFC. But if you look at him a little bit more closely as well, man, people forget he got dropped by Justin Gaethje in that fight. UFC 300, one of the sickest knockouts you'll ever see. You know, credit to him for getting that knockout, but now he has to cut weight again, back down to 145, and I think Ilia is going to get him, man. I think Ilia can catch Max Holloway at some point in this fight. But one thing I like about Ilia as well that I feel like a lot of people aren't giving him credit for, Martin, is that previously, before he came to the UFC, he was a legit grappler, man. He was getting guys down, pushing them against the face, taking them down, and then mauling them, whether it be ground and pound or a good jiu-jitsu, man. This guy can grapple, and now that his striking's coming along, he looks like a complete champion. I'm going with Ilia to retain his belt. I like that minus 250 money line, but bro, Max Holloway is a tough, you know, fight to win no matter who you are. I do think it is, you know, Ilia's time, like Martin said. I do agree with Martin as well. We're both going with and still Ilia Topuria to win this fight, and I think he'll be the first person to knock out Max Holloway. That'll do it for our UFC 308 picks and prediction, guys. Thanks so much for liking the video. Make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, let me know who you have on this, you know, stacked UFC 308 pay-per-view card, and I'll see you guys next week, man. Peace.